Hi, everybody. Dan Illman here, taking a look at race number 8 at Santa Anita on opening day Wednesday. It's the Grade 2 San Antonio Stakes, going a mile and a 16th, and it features the rematch between the number 2 Battle of Midway and the number 3 Dabster. And these horses just collided in the Grade 3 Native Diver at Del Mar on November the 25th. It was a race that was scratched down to 3 horses, and it basically became a match race at the half-mile pole when Battle of Midway on the inside, Dabster on the outside, decided to sprint for home. And you would have thought in that situation, at that longer mile and an eighth distance, that Dabster getting 4 pounds from Battle of Midway might have had a little bit of an advantage because Dabster might be more of a stayer than Battle of Midway. But to Battle of Midway's credit, he never let Dabster by, and it looked like he was slightly extending his advantage at the end of that race. It might prove that Battle of Midway is simply a superior animal to Dabster despite the neck margin of victory. And turning back to a mile and a 16th could work to the favor of Battle of Midway, a horse that certainly doesn't need the lead to win and catches a San Antonio with some pace. Battle of Midway I prefer over Dabster in this spot. I think Dabster might be more effective at longer distances, but those two are the big name horses in this race. Those two are the horses to beat. Those two are the horses you have to make your decisions in multiple races, race wagers around. Talking about some of the other horses in this race, I think the key to the race is whether John Sadler has the number 7 Gift Box ready to go. Gift Box, you may recall, began his career with a lot of hype for trainer Chad Brown. He was good enough to finish third in the Remsen as a 2-year-old, but he got injured and he missed most of his the early part of his 3-year-old campaign. He ran 4th in the Travers behind Arrogate, and then he missed most of the early part of his 4-year-old campaign. And ever since he came back, he was just sort of a nibbler and a disappointment, a horse that would lose races that on paper he really had no business losing. His most recent start, it looked like, was a breakthrough performance. He went off at 2-5 against the usual field of suspects that he was supposed to beat, and finally the light bulb went on for Gift Box. He won by a country mile with his 3rd consecutive 99 Buyer's speed figure. If you had to nitpick the visuals of that race, his gallop out was not very impressive, and I wonder if that was sort of a foreshadowing that maybe something was going wrong physically towards the end of that race, because Gift Box hasn't run since that March 24th effort. But he was privately purchased after the race by Ronus Racing, John Sadler. They've had a tremendous amount of success with older horses, like Accelerate, of course, Catalina Cruiser. They think Gift Box can still run a little bit. Will Gift Box be ready to go a mile and a 16th off of a lengthy layoff against 2 sharp horses? I'm not sure, but I think he might offer some value at 4-1, and if he runs his usual figure, he is very close to horses like Battle of Midway and Dabster. I'm very intrigued to see what we get from Gift Box, especially where he'll be placed in the early portion of the race. I think the 8 Airstrike is an interesting alternative to the sort of 3 big-name horses in this race. He is a 3-year-old taking on older horses, but he's very lightly raced. He's only started 6 times, and I think he can improve off of the 93 Buyer he earned in a losing effort last time out in the Zia Park Derby. That race, he had to be closer to the pace than normal. I don't think that's Airstrike's preferred running style, to be so close to the pace, and he ran quite well as the beaten favorite that day. This time around, I think Florent Geroux is just going to let the pace go. He's going to allow Airstrike to get into a comfortable beat near the back of the pack, and we'll find out if he's good enough to take down some salty older horses, like a former Breeders' Cup winner in Battle of Midway, Dabster, and Gift Box. But Airstrike might be the horse with the most upside potential down the road. The 9 Beach View's most recent start on dirt looks very good on paper. He earned a 98 Buyer speed figure. He beat a reliable veteran named Opportunity, but you could also argue that A, the mile and a half is really what Beachview wants. He's a true stayer. And B, the Opportunity of 2018 wasn't the Opportunity we'd seen in previous years, and the other horses in the Cougar II were mostly turf horses just trying to get the mile and a half on the dirt because they liked the distance. Beachview also got a beautiful trip and ride from Rafael Bejarano that day, saving ground and shooting right up along the inside to win by open lengths. He's capable on dirt, obviously. I think he's more of a turf horse. I think he wants a little bit more distance, and I wonder if he'll just be outpaced in the early portion of this race. Santa Anita is an interesting alternative as well. He's only 2 for 21 lifetime. He's been sort of a nibbler throughout his career, but his most recent race way back on May the 5th at Churchill Downs was pretty good, finishing ahead of a then-sharp horse named Irish Freedom, a horse that came back to win at Churchill with an 89 Buyer speed figure. The long layoff is somewhat concerning for Santa Anita, but he handles this distance just fine. He's going to get a good pace set up. He just has to run one of his fast faster races, and it is worth noting he is 0 for 12 lifetime on fast dirt tracks. He likes a little give in the ground, it appears. Maybe he's a horse that will return to Oaklawn during the spring for their handicap series. The number 1 is Patino, and he figures to be part of the pace at the very least. He just won a maiden race with the addition of blinkers in an off-the-turf 5-furlong affair. He's a 3-year-old that cost $950,000. They could have easily run him in the Malibu going 7 furlongs, or at least entered in that race. They're going to stretch him all the way out here against tougher older horses, and he's kind of tough to make a case for, especially if the pace is fast up front. Let's talk a little bit about the number 5, Yulong Warrior, who I liked a lot in the Zia Park Derby last time out. And I have to admit, I was a little bit disappointed in the non-effort. He was very, very wide on the far turn, but it just didn't seem like he ran at all. And 2 starts back at Emerald Downs, I really liked the effort. He got a nice ride, tracking the pace inside, but was really patiently handled. And he ran down a couple of good local horses that day at Emerald, earning a respectable 92 buyer. I don't know what happened last time out at Zia. If you can make an excuse for that race, he has another 3-year-old with some upside that could get some pace. I just wonder if he was exposed last time out. Tatters to Riches was no match to Battle of Midway in his most recent start. That was the comma to the top stakes, and I was just really disappointed with that effort. I wasn't sure if he was going to beat Battle of Midway that day, but he was bet down to 2-1 and really never got out of a gallop. He was beaten 14 lengths. Jeff Mullins is a very sharp trainer, and he's adding blinkers this time around. And this horse ran figures 2 and 3 starts back that indicate he can step with the top contenders. But that last race worries me, and it precedes a little bit of a layoff. I have to take a sort of wait-and-see approach for him in this race. It's a tough race because you've got Dabster and Battle of Midway. They're very evenly matched. They're going to take a lot of money. And you could certainly use both of them in multiple race wagers. I guess I would use Battle of Midway over Dabster, but I think my top pick in the race will be Gift Box. While I wouldn't be surprised at all if this race is just a prep for something longer and better, perhaps down the road, I think he has the ability to win a race like this if he comes back sharp. So I'll trust John Sadler to have Gift Box ready off of the layoff. He'll be my top pick. I'll go 7, 2, 3, and 8, and basically lean on the 7 and 2 in multiple race wagers, with perhaps a deep backup being the number 8, Air Strike. Approximate post time for the Grade 2 San Antonio, one of 4 graded stakes races at the Great Race Place on opening day Wednesday, is 3:25 Pacific. Best of luck.